It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday morning, January 23rd. Good morning indeed. Was that Triumph I just heard? Lay it on the line?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, the oft-overlooked other Canadian three-piece band that's not BTO or Rush. What was going on with all the Canadian trios back in the day?
Not that many Canadian musicians to go around, is there?
That's probably true. You've got to, you definitely have to balance each lineup. You know what I mean? You can't go too heavy. I mean, the Guess Who threw the whole thing out of whack with that five-piece scene they had. I say that having no idea how many people were in the Guess Who. I'm just assuming it was a five-piece. Something about I must have seen a grainy image back in the day, or I'm just completely confused. But anyway, hey, Triumph, nice job, man. Way to throw it in there. I'm excited. I mean, Candace, I can't remember the last time I heard a Triumph tune.
Well, you're welcome, Steve Gorman.
Oh, man, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Hey, we don't do this often, but I do want to start the show with a quick basketball note. Great news for the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is the team right now that plays right around the corner in the Target Center has the second best record in the league, by the way.
Amazing.
And it's late January, guys. We're moving into the middle part of the season, the middle passage, as I call it. And they have the second best record in the league. They are formidable. They are very talented. They're also very deep, which come NBA playoffs is huge. They have a great coach in Chris Finch. And last night, Karl Anthony Towns, a polarizing, possibly, character, a guy that you're either really high on or really dubious of. Me, anyway. I am. I've never quite bought in. Last night, he went for 62 points, 44 in the first half. 62 points, a team record, a personal best for Karl Anthony Towns against the woeful Charlotte Hornets. Only problem is the woeful Charlotte Hornets, with one of the worst records in the league, won the damn game. But here's why it's good news. Here's why it's good news. Because they have the kind of coach who has no qualms about calling it as he sees it. Last night after the game, an embarrassing loss to an absolutely terrible team. Listen to Finch right here.
Chris, what happened in this one to let it slip away?
Well, I mean, it was an absolute disgusting performance of defense and immature basketball.
Immature. I love it.
All the way through the game. So it really didn't slip away. It had been there from the jump. So this is what happens when you have this type of approach. Just because you've scored 2 or 3 or 4 points in a row or baskets in a row, it doesn't, obviously we're going to try to feed a hot hand, look for a hot hand. But at some point, we got to get back to making the right play. We got to get back to doing the right things. And there was a lot of immature performances here throughout the roster. We totally disrespected the game ourselves. And we got exactly what we deserve. So.
Boom! I love that, man. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, I'll just say it. He's kind of a knucklehead. 62 points. That's extraordinary. That's the second most points scored in a game this season. Of course, he decided to score 62 the same night Joel Embiid had 70. Oh, that's right. Philadelphia 76ers center Joel Embiid had 70 last night. I guess that would be technically, if this were a basketball show, the lead. But here's the thing. Finch calling them out and saying it was immature basketball, feeding the hot hand. What he was referencing was Karl Anthony Towns couldn't miss, so the team just kept feeding him the ball and lost sight of the whole idea of that. What they thought was, we're easily going to win this game. The Hornets are terrible. We're going to let him score as many points as he wants, and when it comes down to it, crunch time, we'll run him out of the gym. Well, they got outscored in the fourth quarter, something like 36-12. It was a complete joke. Charlotte came roaring back. Karl Anthony Towns suddenly dried up the hot hand in the fourth quarter, and the Wolves had an incredibly embarrassing loss. But this is the kind of loss that really helps, especially because it happened at home at a time when you had a packed arena losing their minds. It's the perfect way to get kicked in the shin or get a bloody nose right now. I mean, dead serious. Come playoffs, this game will be referenced regularly as the season progresses. So if you're paying attention to the Timberwolves this season, or I should say if you're not, here's the headline. They are actually really, really, really good. They are going to make a deep playoff run. They will probably have home court until the Western Conference Finals. There's no reason to suggest they're going to go on a losing streak. They seem to be that kind of team. Everybody steps up. It's an exciting season. There we have it. Karl Anthony Towns, nice job getting 62. The win would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I love the they didn't respect the game.
I love hearing stuff like that. That sounds like Pat Riley in the 80s.
Yeah, well, that's
you know
what
I
you
mean.
need.
It's
Give 'em a smack.
fantastic. There's a little bit of Bud Grant in that one. Just embarrassing, juvenile, immature. Those are great words for young millionaires to hear.
Well, Bud would never say that. He'd just give you a glare.
But he would. Yeah, but it was the same vibe. He just gave you the look. Although, of course, in the locker room, things might have been a little different. But anyway, I just had to throw that out there. So, Karl, nice job getting 62. Next time, win the damn game. But that's me. I'm what you call a high-maintenance basketball fan. Because I expect a lot from my professional basketball players. I'm a little bit of a. I'm just, I'm a little high strung that way. Call me crazy. And I do want to talk today on the show though about high maintenance people, generally speaking. Ladies, gentlemen, are you high maintenance? Are you low maintenance? Are you kidding yourself? What is the level of delusion where your level of maintenance is concerned? Candace, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can we start with you?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple questions about whether you see yourself as high or low maintenance. Do you have an answer right off the bat?
Well, it's all comparative, right? So
Sure.
I mean, I feel like I'm pretty chill.
Okay.
But if I'm, around someone who isn't clean and doesn't clean their bathroom or
Okay, well things
like that, then I will.
But I'm talking. But let's just focus on you, not what other people are doing.
Well, I'm
and
just
how
saying,
you deal with it.
I get a little high maintenance in those situations because, I want to. If I'm going to be around them, I want to be in a clean bathroom.
Okay.
But why don't you just get out of the relationship? I mean, why are you trying to change someone? They like a messy bathroom. They're cool with it. Your problem, not theirs.
Wow.
Let's talk about chicks, man.
Someone just touched someone's button. Candace. Candace, I'm going to ask you a question. True or false? The first outfit I put on is never the one I end up wearing.
Yeah. I mean, it happens.
But there are plenty of days though. I think you probably get up and throw on clothes and hit the road.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't try that hard for this job. Obviously.
In general.
Wow.
I mean, but if I'm going out, sometimes we'll take a few.
Okay. I'm asking for headlines. You're going op-ed every time. Just yes or no's are all we need
I
here.
think I'm medium.
If someone is late
Maintenance.
to meet you, do you need an explanation? Do you demand that they check in and say, I'm running late and
No.
here's why?
It's fine.
Oh, you're doing great
I'm
here.
pretty chill. I
Are
just
you
like
afraid-
a clean bathroom?
Are you afraid to get out of the bathroom, Candace? Are you afraid to ride in a convertible because you don't like windblown hair?
Well, no, I know how to tighten up my hair and put it in a braid.
Okay. Yes or no, hon? We're looking for just
let's go.
fastballs. You're throwing
Why, you know
knuckleball
someone?
after knuckleball.
You know someone that's got a convertible or something?
I'm
'Cause
just asking the question.
I'll do it.
Want to get fixed up?
If you go out to eat, are you more often than not ordering your meal but with special requirements? Or do you
No.
see, Candace, you're doing great here. You're coming across very low maintenance. And by the way, this is based on a poll and questions asked by none other than Cosmopolitan Magazine. So you're doing great. Does the getting ready for bed regimen last more or less than 15 minutes?
Less.
Candace Wheeler, ladies and gentlemen, a catch.
Right.
An absolute bona fide catch. You're as low maintenance as it gets, sister.
Yeah, except for the cleaning thing.
Okay, again, what happened to you? Who locked you in a dirty
It's
bathroom
not even in my
once?
current relationship. It's just I feel like men don't clean their bathrooms as
No.
well as women do.
As
And it's
well
just
as, that's
annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
man,
It's
Cool
fine.
with that?
Listen, come by sometime. You're seriously, you can eat off my bathroom
Really?
floor. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're high maintenance.
I'm not high. Oh, but now I'm high
Yeah.
maintenance because I don't like, because I try to keep a somewhat sanitary lavatory
Oh, that's
experience
great
for
to
my
hear.
guests.
Have lunch in,
Prove me
in
wrong.
Steve's bathroom sometime.
Man,
It's an
yeah.
invitation.
Yeah, in fact, but if you're going to do that, I'd rather not be there. So just we'll figure it out. We'll look at our
I feel like
schedules.
I fed your cat once, and your cat was chilling on the bathroom sink. I don't know how cleanly that is, but I'll let it slide.
Well, yeah, I was. Okay, here's the thing. I wasn't there when I returned, and I saw Milo left fur everywhere. It was dealt with. Okay,
All right.
I can't clean from across town,
All right.
or
I
from
wasn't-
another town.
I wasn't judging or
And if the
anything.
cat is clean, it should be fine.
I mean, don't they like get in the litter box with
Yeah.
their paws?
Yeah, they
Oh
do.
my God! Don't leave Milo out of this. Named
Hey, I'm
after
just
one of the
jealous.
great,
You didn't
after one of the
cuddle
great
with me.
burger chains in America. Anybody ever in Alabama, go to Milo's. It's
Milo's.
outstanding.
Oh, is it like a sandwich shop?
It's a
Burger
burger. It's a
place.
burger shop.
I just got this weird chill up my spine when you said if you ever find yourself in Alabama.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. It's a mixed bag at best, no question about it. The Milo's burger, it's a patty. I'm not making any of this up. It's a patty and a half.
Right.
I don't understand why the half is on there, but it's literally like a burger patty and then a half a patty on top of that. And it's not like a thinner half. I mean, it's like a patty cut in half, so it looks like a split level mid-century home as a burger.
Kinda
The
weird.
patties. It's got a brown gravy that you've never tasted, and you can't determine what it's made of. A couple of fresh cut onions and a pickle. It's one of the best burgers you'll ever eat. Just saying. And
Pretty good.
my God, the sweet tea. But that's a whole other story for another
Oh,
day. When we take the show to Alabama, we'll discuss that in more depth. I want to talk about high and low maintenance people in our lives. You can hit us up at any time and share a story, because we've all had at least one moment with somebody where we realized, I don't have the energy for this date, much less this relationship.
Yeah.
I'm just
I can feel
assuming
it.
we've all been
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Man, a lot of,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm just, that's, and then along the way, we've also got a lot of body parts turning up in weird places. So lots of fun stuff to get into today.
Also, was Ryan Gosling suspended from first grade for throwing steak knives at other kids? We may find out with Mike Evans' Hollywood Report here at 6:30. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The band Def Leppard from Sheffield, England, right there. Joe Elliott originally proposed the name Def Leppard to be spelled as you would think, D-E-A-F, and then leopard like the animal. And they all thought, yeah, that's a pretty cool name. And then somebody said, yeah, but it sounds like a punk band, Def Leppard. And then they were like, Led Zeppelin's kind of a good name. And Def Leppard, if we change the spelling, it kind of sounds like that. It might imply that we're not punk. We're more kind of like, Led Zeppelin, and one thing led to another. And then there you have it. I said something about the Guess Who earlier in the show. Fun fact about the name, the Guess Who.
All right.
Okay, this band was originally, they're from Canada, of course, started in the late 50s, the band that became the Guess Who. They were originally called, this is completely insane to me, they were originally called Chad Allen and the Expressions, and they were, doing what they could, had a couple singles out in Canada. They released a song called Shakin' All Over in January of 65, doing okay. But their Canadian record label was called Quality Records. They disguised the single. They credited the single to radio stations as Guess Who with a question mark, because they were trying to imply that it was one of the British invasion bands doing an incognito recording, thinking if people think it's the Beatles or the Stones or the Kinks, then they'll play the record more. That was someone's brilliant idea. So the band... Again, Chad Allen and the Expressions, that's one name. And then suddenly everybody is saying, here's the Guess Who, the Guess Who. And then they had to go, well, if we want to take credit for being the band behind that single, we have to call ourselves the Guess Who. That's insane.
Which sounds cooler.
It's a much better
No
name.
respect to Chad.
It's a much better name. And by the way, we just lost Chad in November of 23. Who knew? But, I mean, that's just one of those things. You're like, we're going to make it, boys. You and me, you guys are my Expressions, and I'm Chad Allen. And I'm sorry, what now? We have to do what now? Golly, you get your first hit on the charts, and you're told, oh, by the way, we're changing the name of the band because some marketing douchebag called you the Guess Who instead. It's pretty good.
Weird.
Similarly, when the Bee Gees first released their first single in the States, I believe it was New York Mining Disaster, they didn't put the name of the band on the sleeve they sent to radio because they wanted people to think maybe it's the Beatles.
Why keep pushing that little gimmick?
Because, the 60s were just a heady time for all of us. Crazy, man, crazy. The Oscar nominations are due in about 25 minutes. I believe. And we'll tell you what they are, and we'll all talk about the fact that none of us have seen any of the films nominated. But before that, let's go to the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Minneapolis. Good morning, St. Paul. Well, one and the same. And Steve and Candace and Zep
No,
and
they're
Tony,
not.
everybody else. And we start off with this is a big day. It's Tuesday. Time to go to Marcus Theaters, where for just $6, you can see any movie at any of the Marcus Theaters. Check it out for yourself every Tuesday, Big Tuesday at Marcus Theaters. Well, we start off. The 2023 Razzies have been announced for the worst movies and performances of the year. And I'm not surprised at any of the nominations. And here are my predictions of who will be the big losers or winners of the Razzies. Worst director, David Gordon Green for Exorcist, Believer. Worst movie remake, Exorcist, Believer. Worst screenplay, Exorcist, Believer.
Wow.
Worst movie, Exorcist, Believer.
You're selling me on this.
Did any of you guys see that
The
movie? It
audio
was
skipping.
horrible. Sports
Loved it.
news. Las Vegas has released the odds for the NFL championship games on Sunday. In the early game, the AFC championship, Baltimore Ravens are a 3-point favorite to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And in the NFC championship game, the 49ers are 7-point favorites to beat Detroit. We'll talk more about the games later in the week. Niners. All right, so take a firm grip of your steering wheel. This is a strange one. As you know, I lived in Palm Springs for many, many years and saw a lot of celebrities that also lived in Palm Springs. Suzanne Summers and her husband, Alan, were regulars, and Cheryl and I would often see them at the tiny little Palm Green Organic Cafe. Really nice people. Usually for breakfast, often Sundays. Well, since Suzanne's passing last year, Alan is telling friends that he believes Suzanne's spirit is still with him at their Palm Springs home. Alan says that he wakes up in the middle of the night and he can feel Suzanne laying next to him in bed.
Edibles.
On several occasions, he says a hummingbird has flown into their house, lands on their bed, then goes to the breakfast nook and lands at the breakfast nook where they often ate and hovers over her picture in the front room. I'm not making this stuff up, and knowing Alan,
He is.
I believe him. Hey, have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul. Be safe. Stay warm. See ya.
Tuesday.
Minneapolis and St. Paul, not one and the same, Mike.
No.
I just got to say it. I've been here for a year, and I know that much.
Yeah.
Quick fun fact about Alan Hamill and Suzanne Summers. They got married over 50 years. They were married over 50 years. He managed her career from Three's Company to Thigh Master and everything since. And I read an interview with her son from her first marriage, who's in his 50s, maybe 60 by now.
Sorry.
And this man said, this was a quote, and he was asked if he was exaggerating, and he said, no, I'm being very literal. He said, since my mom and Alan got married, they had never been apart for more than 4 hours.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
over 50 years.
It's a high
And
maintenance
the guy
couple.
said, no, like literally never. He goes, no, you're not listening to me. It made it weird for all because he had kids from another marriage. She had her son. And he goes, I have not been alone with my mom ever in my life, ever. Maybe if he was in the other room, but I've never taken a trip with her. I've never gone to the store with her. They were never apart. He was like stressing that point.
She wouldn't do it? Like if he said, Mom, just come with me, get some lunch.
I don't know if he ever asked, but yeah, he just said no. They were never apart for more than maybe they got lunch. He said never. He said
Maybe
4
sat out in
hours.
the car.
He said the most they were ever apart was 4 hours, and that was very rare.
Yeah.
Good or bad thing? I don't know. You decide.
Weird. I had a date one time right over here at Monte
Great.
Carlo. Yeah.
Oh, congrats, man. That's nice.
But she had her mom out in the car the entire time we ate.
Is that true?
Why?
If I wanted to go out and meet her afterwards. And I was walking that way, but then I had to pretend I was parked in the other direction, and I walked around the block the other way smoking a cigarette.
Wait, hold on. Is that true? You literally had a
Yeah.
date with a girl, and she said, my mom's waiting outside in the car.
Wisconsin gal.
So this wasn't like in 7th grade. This was an adult situation.
This was within the last 10 years.
Wow.
Did you ever see her again?
No.
Okay.
No.
Holy
No, but I
smokes.
did pork her mom.
Well, attaboy.
No.
6:40, and we get the first porking reference of the day. You weren't kidding. You really did want to see those Porky's movies when you were a kid. Hey, let's look back. January 23rd, on this day in 1985, Orenthal James Simpson was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. O.J. Simpson became the first ever Heisman Trophy winner to also go to the Hall of Fame. The line from college to football greatness was not nearly as direct as it is now, back in the old days. His fellow inductees on that day, Frank Gatsky, Roger Staubach, Joe Namath, and former Commissioner Pete Rozelle, who at a luncheon unanimously voted Simpson most likely to murder some people in what journalists at the time thought was just a dark joke.
Wait a minute. Are you being serious?
No, I'm not.
Of course.
God dang it. I was hoping that one.
I know. Don't
Yeah.
you just wish it was
Yeah.
true?
Right.
Yeah, I know OJ was great, but I don't know. He's got that thing. He's got that look in his eyes sometimes.
They wouldn't say that at
No.
the podium, would they? No.
No, they wouldn't. In 1983, on this day, I remember very clearly hearing that Bjorn Borg had retired from tennis. He was 26. He'd won 11 Grand Slams. My man won 5 straight Wimbledons and then was like, yeah, I'm 26. I'm not motivated anymore. I'm done.
Wow.
And just went back to being just a great-looking Swede. I mean, it's worse ways to go through life. But, of course, a few years later, at 34, he said, I do miss the battles out there. I'm going to come back. And he played 12 matches and went 0 for 12 and realized, no, this is done. 8 years is way too long of a layoff.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. I love your peaches. I want to shake your tree. Woohoo! It's Tuesday, January 23rd. Steve Miller Band, title track to his 1973 album, The Joker. That was his big breakthrough, setting the table for Fly Like an Eagle a few years later. Speaking of jokers and smokers and midnight tokers, I'd like to dedicate the rest of this morning's show, if I may, to a guy known as Uncle Chen. Uncle Chen is a gentleman in China. He is 52 years old. And he ran a full marathon, 26.2 miles, and he ran this race in 3 hours and 33 minutes, but he was disqualified. Now, this happened earlier this year at the Xiamen Marathon in China. He's been disqualified for smoking on the track. He did not light a cigarette and smoke it during the race. He chain smoked all 26.2 miles.
Yes.
He lit every cigarette with the one before.
Yeah.
He went through several packs over 26 miles and ran the race in 3 hours
Just
and
showing
33
off.
minutes. I'm not saying I condone smoking, especially for marathon runners. I'm not a
Yeah.
smoker, never have been, don't plan to be. But I used to say jokingly, I think I'll start smoking in my 60s because I'll be too old for it to eventually kill me, hopefully. And I can look cool as I go fully gray. That guy's still smoking. Look at him. I've kind of gotten past that idea. But my man smoked for 26.2 miles nonstop and finished the race. He was disqualified because Article 2.12 of the rules states uncivilized behavior from runners, such as open defecation,
Happens a
All right,
lot.
that's uncivilized.
smoking, or trampling on flower beds or green spaces that affect the race and safety of other runners will result in disqualification. So the 3 things they hate: don't step on the flowers, don't smoke cigarettes, and don't shite yourself. Those
Yeah.
are the 3 things?
Yeah.
Well, can you crap yourself? You just can't. Yeah, you're right.
It's
you can't.
open.
A lot of people,
It does say
a lot of people
open.
do.
It does say open defecation. So
Yeah,
I guess that's a thing.
Oh, it's definitely a thing. We had a street reporter here once that tried to run a marathon and crapped himself coming down the home stretch. But Maria's run a couple of marathons, and she did the Duluth Marathon, Grandma's Marathon up there one time, and talked about people ducking off into people's backyards and dropping a deuce.
Oh,
you got to
boy.
go, right? I mean, you're running 26.2 miles. Your body is trying to get you to stop in any way it possibly can. You're not supposed to do that.
Known people who peed while they were running and lost toenails.
Ah,
Yeah, lost toenails.
Their pee was so acidic it went down their leg and melted their toenails. Oh my God!
Just the run can be so brutal.
Oh, the run, yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yeah. You have blisters on your nipples.
what's the point of running?
What is the point?
My brother Bob, the oldest of the Gorman 8, he ran the New York City Marathon the year he turned 40. He decided that would be a good thing to do. Started training a couple years out. Like, hey, when I turn 40, I'm going to run the marathon. First ever marathon. And he did. And then he spent the next 3 years, for the first time in his life, every cold, every flu bug, every stomach, but he was sick as a dog. And he was always the guy, never missed a day of school, never missed a day of work. His knees hurt. It just destroyed him, basically, to spend all that time. And he did the marathon. It was great. And then he just completely, once he turned off the switch, I did it, he just fell apart.
Just beat him up.
Just destroyed him. Wow. Yeah. By the way, back to Uncle Chen. He had been allowed to compete. He's been doing this for a while. The Chinese Athletics Association implemented a new rule last year in an effort to promote healthy participation and curb smoking. He was so popular, he had viral popularity that led to his downfall because they changed the rules because people were like, he's like a folk hero in China, this chain smoking marathon runner. The rest of the show's for you, bro. I mean, that's just as good as it gets to me. I love people like this.
Well done.
And I was also I was impressed. My another brother, Tom, he did a thing where he would go to the pool in the summer. And I saw him do this several times. And he would stand at the edge of the pool with a lit Marlboro Red guy. I mean, this is 50 years ago, back when a guy at the pool with long hair smoking a cigarette wouldn't be immediately arrested. And he'd stand there. He would stand at the edge of the pool, the community pool we'd go to. He'd take a long drag off his cigarette, flick it off into the grass, and then dive into the pool with his lungs full of smoke and go underwater up and back 50 yards. And then he would pop up at the other end and all that smoke would come out. And it was like a party trick. Every time he did it, where all the little kids, yeah! I mean, we were like celebrating his ability to do that.
That is a stud move.
It really was. It was probably the coolest thing I'd ever seen at that age.
Wolsey, South Dakota, population 350, grew up there, and we had a pool. We had a public pool, and every once in a while in the summer, Dad would cut us loose. Of course, he would always say, you know what, we got to work in the field. If it rains, you can go to the pool. Oh, if it rains, we can go to the pool. Thanks, Dad. That's going to be fun for everyone. But anyway, we go to the pool. But there was, I remember only being in elementary school, and there was a well digging operation nearby, and all these big, greasy, hairy, middle-aged guys would come over to the pool at noon and stand in the pool about waist deep and smoke cigarettes for about a half hour.
That's
and
a great
everyone
visual.
else would just, the girls, even those kids were like, "What's going on?" My parents smoked at the time, but it was weird, and we didn't like it. They got ashes in the pool, and of course the junior. The kid that was between his junior and senior year was the lifeguard. Hey, I don't think you guys can shut up. Okay. All right. There was no one there to enforce it.
Yeah, sure. It just goes to show King of the Hill didn't have to be set in Texas. Easily could have been South Dakota.
Yeah.
I just picture the guys from King of the Hill standing in a circle in the pool smoking cigarettes for some reason. Your childhood stories are animated in my brain, Brian.
Yeah. Yeah, they
literally and figuratively, they're animated.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier about high and low maintenance, people in our lives who are high or low maintenance. We ran a gauntlet of questions from Cosmopolitan magazine past Candace. We determined two things. For God's sakes, guys, clean your bathroom if Candace is coming over. Get the Lysol wipes, do the whole thing.
Or just say it's out of order. Put an out of order sign on it. Close it.
Pretty much. Yeah. Shut her down. Turn off the water. Just do what you got to do. But the other thing we realized is Candace is pretty darn low maintenance. I mean, on the other questions, very, very high, a very low score, which is a high result, if you know what I'm saying. So great job, Candace, on being a low maintenance gal. For guys, this poll on the other side, it's telling ladies, again, this is from Cosmopolitan, here are some things about a guy that ladies, you recognize, oh, he's really low maintenance. If he keeps quiet while you parallel park. I'll be the first to say, guilty as charged of not being able to do that the first time I was trying to watch. My wife, at the time, my girlfriend was parallel parking. Yeah. In fact, I don't even think the car had moved, and I went, no, you got to pull farther up.
Oh, my God.
Just right away. This ain't going to work. Because it wasn't going to work, and I knew that, and I wasn't being a jerk. I was just trying to save time. Hey, you got to pull farther forward before you start this. First time ever.
Oh, there's nothing more annoying than someone does commentary on your driving.
I know it.
Make you insane.
Yeah, I know they keep they keep grabbing the dash. Or
Oh my
something
God,
like
that was my
or-
mom when I was learning how to drive. She would do the whole.
Oh, yeah, not good.
Right? I hate that too. But I had the only Tina I ever dated. I don't know why I said it like that, but she would when she parallel parked, and this only happened once. And one other time I told her if she parallel parked, I was getting out of the car and walking away. She would just bump the car when she backed up. Just when she bumped it, she knew she had gone far, and then bump forward and then bump back. I'm like, you're actually bumping the cars moving behind us. She's that's when I know to pull forward. I'm like, wow, okay,
Wow.
okay.
And I like the way that you just took a side swipe at all Tinas for some reason.
No.
That's pretty good.
No,
the only
no.
Tina I ever dated. I too have seen people. I have been in. I'm trying to think of who it was, but I know that experience well. Of like, what are you doing? Like, oh well, if I just tap it, it's fine, and then I know. I've had that same conversation, although I can't think of who it was with. I don't freak out about how my wife drives at all. Or my kids. My kids are both good drivers. I'm comfortable with them driving in the car. But the parallel parking, I do have a thing for. My daughter is 21. She's just recently finally embraced the concept of parallel parking.
Okay.
And she's starting to get it together. But boy, it was hard getting her there. I was like, you don't just drive around until you find a space you don't have to parallel park in. You will save so much time in life if you just take... Give me 7 minutes, and I'll show you how easy this can be. And it took. Well, she's been driving 4 years now.
That's my flex. I'm real good at parallel parking.
It's a great flex.
Yeah, I put it on my dating profile.
That's fantastic. I really like that. Generally speaking, though, I keep it to myself. Here are the things. Any guys, a guy's going to be a handful if he talks to his mother every day. My mom, thankfully. With 6 boys. Once we left for like high school, if you called her with an issue, she'd literally be like, what do you want me to do about it? Honey, I'm 64 miles away.
Yeah.
No one's loved me more. And to this day, I mean, there's nothing she'd rather do than get a phone call from me now. But at a time when we're leaving the nest, she was like, fly, birdie.
Yep.
Go away. You got to figure this one out yourself. To which I appreciate. I have known when I was in college and after, from after, basically post high school. I knew guys who literally checked in with their moms all the time, and I thought it was sweet and also a little strange.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm thinking of a good friend that I don't know if he called every day, but he called a lot. He'd stop what we were doing. I'd call mom, and we thought the same thing. Wow, you're really sweet. Don't ever tell my mom. You can never now talk to my mom. But yeah, it seemed weird, didn't it? But
It depends. Like if it's like, are they checking in for things about them or checking in to take care of her?
Yeah, what are they calling about?
Yeah.
Good point. Right.
Yeah, that's a good dividing line. I like that. That's a continental divide right there for sure. How about this one? And Candace, you can speak to this maybe. If his manhood, his man root, if his little fella actually has a name.
Yeah.
And even more so a voice, if there's a voice. That apparently this is something a lot of men do. I've never once in my life been like, I think I'm going to introduce him as Charlie or whatever. Like here comes.
No, that's weird.
Here comes little Stevie. I've just the furthest thing from my mind.
Yeah, the key is who assigned the name. Did you do it yourself or did someone else give it? Because that would be if you did it yourself.
But see, I got a problem. But if you do that yourself, that's like giving yourself any kind of a nickname. It never works. You can't nickname yourself unless you're Kobe Bryant and the Mamba thing somehow worked, which you still can't get over. But if someone else gives that name and then you carry that name forward to your next relationship, that could be a little dodgy as well. No.
Yeah.
Creepy.
First time you're getting intimate with someone and you're like, my ex called him Trooper. Like, oh, really? Okay, well, there goes the mood.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not appropriate. You can understand maybe Thor, but if your nickname is Dennis, it doesn't.
Well, he is a menacing character in this relationship. Why do we have to get Dennis's opinion on dinner? I don't care that Dennis likes to swim in whipped cream. Get away from me. I can just see this going sideways in a big hurry. I love to think of myself as low maintenance. I'm sure my wife could regale everyone with stories of how little that is the case to her. I'm sure there's a million things that I just need in the day that because they happen, I just don't even think about it. But yeah, I would imagine I've got my moments. But honestly, as I sit here and think about it, I'm great. Man, I'm so easy to deal with. Which just tells you I'm purely full of delusion at this point.
Right. Well, we do have a KQ Facebook post. Well, that's what makes you so damn entertaining on the radio. We do have a KQ Facebook post up about high maintenance if you want to jump on that one. I like Tim, a friend of mine's wife at a campground. Every day she would spend a half hour in the shower building putting on makeup to go hiking or fishing. I experienced that on a ski date one time. We jetted out to Montana, and it was a powder morning, and I woke up silly excited, like, it's a powder day. And these just don't happen. I mean, this is like the lottery for us today.
Right.
And she spent a half hour braiding her hair.
Ooh,
yeah, her hair. And I kept saying, you know what, maybe do you want to braid it on the way to the... Yeah, I think at that point, though, the date was falling apart, and she was just trying to grind my gears a little bit. But we're talking high maintenance this morning, although I think we might get along to some other topics. We have the secret to a long life. That's a pretty important topic. You'll lean in for that one, as told by a 101-year-old, so you know she knows what she's talking about. Her reason most certainly contributed to a man who partied the night away with a bullet in his head. You heard me. Oh, and a game show at 8 o'clock. By the way, this one's not on TV. Straight from the twisted mind of Tony Lee to your radio at 8 o'clock. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, January the 23rd. Oscar nominations are happening as we speak, as they come across the wire. The wire? As we get information on what's been nominated and who's been nominated, we'll share some of those with you. Spoiler alert, we don't know anything. We've probably barely seen. We all saw Oppenheimer. Most of us saw Barbie.
Right.
What else is out there that people are excited about? I have no idea.
But Oppenheimer, didn't they? The Golden Globes cleaned up, right? That's the precursor, sort of a peek into the Oscars.
That's what they like to say. Sure. But as I said, we'll let you know as things come in. Sammy Hagar, you know him. Sammy Hagar, nicest guy in rock.
God, yeah.
Kind of a coin toss. Him and Dave Grohl always get that nicest man in rock thing. Sammy Hagar has found out some interesting news about himself. If you've ever seen the show on PBS called Finding Your Roots, or as someone I once knew would call it, Finding Your Roots. Henry Louis Gates loves to take celebrities and look into their DNA and blow their minds with new information. Here's a little clip. This is what happened when Sammy Hagar found out all about himself.
Sammy, this chart shows the total number of men found with the surname Hagar who match your Y DNA signature.
0. How can that be?
Sammy, genetically, you are not a Hagar.
Get out of here.
You want to find out what your real biological surname is?
Yes.
What I'm about to introduce you to is 100% certain, because you are not a Hagar. Please turn the page.
I'm a Belcher?
You are a Belcher.
Oh, my God.
Your Y DNA matches 27 men with the surname Belcher.
Wow.
You are Sammy Belcher.
What a trip.
I mean, as far as rock singer names go, Sammy Hagar's kind of hard to beat. Sammy Belcher, would have been. There would have been some challenges.
You guys ever do that genetic testing?
I haven't done it.
No.
It's they give you. I did 23andMe, received it as a Christmas present. Actually, we exchanged it. I got it from Maria last year. This year, she returned the horrible favor. But because that gets in, and they send you so many warnings. Are you sure you want to know what you're predisposed to health-wise, genetically, as far as Parkinson's and dementia and these sorts of things?
What'd you find out?
No, I'm good to go. Genetically, I'm a monster. I'm cool, but I am 1.4% sub-Saharan African. I don't think it gives me any street cred or not, but
on some level we all are. That's where humans began, correct?
That's not true. Maria is 0% sub-Saharan. She is 99.9%. What is it? Swedish and Finnish or whatever. Yeah, she didn't even make it to the over into the European mainland there. Yeah,
just
she's
pure
99
Scandic is what you're Scandinavian.
Pure Scando. I'm 80. I forget what. 98.8% French German, but
wow.
And then there's some Scottish, Irish in there, about 16% of that. But I tracked it down, and went through the whole thing. But 1.4%. But anyway, what the weird thing is, you look at some of these things. There's macular degeneration. I've likely got that genetically going for me. A little macular degeneration. I feel like, I didn't look it up, so I feel like it's good news. Tony, your great didn't sound, sincere. Now I'm a little weirded out about it, but there's a few things on there. But do you want to know? Do you want to know if you're predisposed to cancer, for example? I didn't have that one, so the biggies I skated on, but there were things like nearsightedness and just those kind of bad memory from movie titles.
I've got a buddy
kind of
who had the macular degeneration situation. That's an eye thing, vision thing. And he had to have a procedure done. And then to recover, it was, if I'm not mistaken, like for 2 weeks, he had to lay still face down.
Yes, I had a friend who had to do that too.
So it's like
2 weeks.
Like a massage table where you lay down with your face, you put your face in that ring. He had to lay in one of those at home for you could literally get up to go to the bathroom and that was it. He had to lay face down for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can't move.
And he got
put the TV on the floor.
His wife rigged up a whole series of things to slide under the table, including a little table with the smoothie would come in and the straw would go right up to his mouth and he would just lay there.
Weird.
Right.
But he saved it. It worked. I mean, his eyes are fine now. But it was pretty dodgy there for a minute. So you got that to look forward to, bro.
Why not? It's something's going to get me before that.
My sister did the 23andMe, Susan. She's the archivist of all things Gorman related in the family, and so we were raised. We're Irish. It was O'Gorman, and then an O'Gorman back in the day married an O'Gorman Lee with L-Y. So it's like a whole crazy amount of Irish getting it on with Gormans and O'Gormans and O'Gormanleys. There's a Gorman, an O'Gorman coat of arms that we all know what it is. First in the battle, last in the fight is the crest of the family. Blah, 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 blah. My dad used to say, you're Irish. There's a little bit of German on your mother's side, but most of that's Irish. We're Irish. We're Irish. My sister does 23andMe, and it's like, about 60%.
Yeah, I know we're mutts.
I thought it was gonna be 96%, like 60 maybe.
Yeah.
There is some Scandinavian. There's some French. There's a whole. We're just a mutt. That's all it is. And I'm like, well,
we are.
But we all had a sense of identity. Just saying it's Irish. I still get misty-eyed when I see pictures of the Irish coast and stuff. So I'll still claim it. But in reality, it's kind of like, that's why they say, are you sure you want to know? It's not because you might be worried about macular degeneration. It's because you might go, oh, my dad's just a liar. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, it's the melting pot, right? We've all been here for
that's what it is.
Long enough that's why Maria sort of blew me away. But both of her sets of grandparents immigrated here. She's second generation then, I guess. So her parents would be first generation. So she got that European bloodline. But it's British, Irish. I've got some Southern Italian, Spanish and Portuguese, Sardinian.
That's beautiful. Beautiful.
And then the Sub-Saharan African, and they're Senegambien and Guinean.
You're like one of those dogs that you look at and you literally go, what am I looking at? It looks like the end product of a dog orgy. There's like every bit of everything in this one animal. That's you.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I'm the lovable American mutt, and I'm proud of it. My ancestors would bang anyone.
That's...
it was like, what do you got? Let's do it. Let's knock each other up.
If your ancestors, like so many of ours, hopefully if they had long lives, macular degeneration or not, everybody that hits a certain age, especially around the century mark, they are always asked, what's the secret? And you'll always hear somebody say, well, I keep reading. I do the crossword, the Sunday crossword. Everyone's always got a reason why they're still around. A woman in Florida named Valeria Ryan, she just turned 101 years old. I think she was in Florida. It doesn't matter. Here's the deal. She's a World War II veteran. She served in the Navy back in WW2. Yes, she's in St. Augustine, Florida. She is at a nursing home for veterans, just turned 101, and she was asked what her secret was, and this is great news for a whole lot of our listeners. Let's hear what she has to say.
What's my secret to a long life? To drink all the booze you can drink.
Come on.
I don't know.
Silly
She might have been
girl.
kidding around there. Wasn't
Drink all the booze you can drink.
There's something about, getting to that age. I've often said that after 80, all my grandparents started boozing it up.
Really?
I don't remember them drinking a lot when I was growing up, but then you get to a certain point in your life, you're like, a little bored. There wasn't as much available to them, in those years that there is available to people now. At 80, I know, I've got a neighbor out here that's living large at 81. But so maybe they just started boozing it away. But yeah, I was getting smashed with my grandparents in their 80s.
Wow.
Not with us any longer, but no one made it to 90.
Did they start drinking more, or did they just drop the mask? They just stopped trying to act like they weren't drinking more.
I don't know. Maybe. You might be right. I guess we didn't get to the bottom of it. We were just too busy getting all drunked up and laughing.
That reminds me of I saw Bo Diddley at a club in Atlanta called the Royal Peacock. In the late 80s, he was playing there, and I couldn't go to the gig, but the owner, I knew the guy that bought the joint, and he said, "Oh, come down at sound check. He's going to be hanging out for a while." I just wanted to see Bo Diddley, just up close.
Yeah.
And as I'm standing there, he did an interview with a local TV affiliate, like Channel 2, Bo Diddley at the Royal Peacock tonight. And he was asked, "What's your advice for young and upcoming musicians?" And he goes, "Eat everything they offer you." He said, "You get on the road, man, you're hungry. Anytime they offer you food, just say, yeah, eat everything they offer you.
Sop it up with a biscuit."
That was it. Eat everything they offer you. Drink all the booze you can. You too can live a long life. A Brazilian man going about it. He's only 21 years old, but he's already learned a lesson of how far you can go on just pure denial and delusion. He was partying in a town called Cabo Frio on New Year's Eve, heard a loud noise, and felt like something maybe hit him in the head. There was a sharp pain, and he put his hand to his head and he felt blood. A doctor in the crowd noticed him and said, "Hey, pal, your head's bleeding," and he helped him stop the bleeding. This guy, Mateus, thought he'd just been hit by a stone or a rock someone was throwing as they're celebrating the new year. He went about his business, put ice on the wound, spent the rest of the day partying, drove home, which was about 185 miles. On January 3rd, this is now 3 full days after, he drove down to Rio de Janeiro, another few hundred miles in the car, and on the afternoon of January 4th, finally went, "Hey, this thing's not going away. This still hurts. And if I'm not careful, if I get too active, the blood still comes out sometimes." Finally went and had it looked at. There was a bullet in my man's head.
Well.
Yeah. I woke up January 1 thinking there was a bullet in my head, but not an actual bullet in his head. Like
4 days.
4 days with the bullet in the head.
Yeah. It's obviously not, he's going to live. It's not, as far as bullets in the head go, you could do a lot worse than this one, apparently. But I like a guy who's just partying. And you think about that, like, have you ever woken up in the morning and been like, "Oh man, I think last night, like I think I broke a tooth." And then you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, broke a tooth. But you don't spend 4 days thinking about it. I mean, the bullet in the head is just that's a shocker to me.
Yeah, you'd think that'd come with a big headache. Wonder what part of the brain it hit. One we're not. They say we don't use most of our brain. I don't know what that's all about, but I guess.
Well, maybe it didn't get to the brain. Maybe it just was a glancing. Maybe it got in there and lodged right in the skull. I don't have all the details. Yeah. I just love the idea of somebody on January 4th going, "Hey, I got shot New Year's Eve, and I just found out."
God, I've been popping Advil.
Man,
nothing.
Yeah. Well, they say it helps with the inflammation. Hey, you can catch up with Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast. We have a good time. We'd like you to know that you could have a good time at your time, when you want it. Anytime you want, anywhere you get podcasts, Steve Gorman and the KQ Morning Show podcast. This is, of course, sponsored by our dear friends, Candace Wheeler.
Devani's.
Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Thank you, Devani's, for being there, literally.
Yeah.
Man, that's
Right.
good grub.
Yeah. Right now on the KQ92 Talk and Text line, callers 9 and 2, please, at 651-989-ROCK. We're playing What Are You Talking About? For a chance to win tickets, Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band, Love 'Em Live. Blue on Black, if that's all you know. Go to the show Saturday, April 13th at the Mystic Showroom. Prize provided by Mystic Lake Casino. Our runner-up today gets tickets to, Steve, the Australian Bee Gees with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band, Saturday, February 3rd at the Medina. And that prize provided by Medina Entertainment Center, 651-989-ROCK. Dial up. Good luck and hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, January the 23rd. The Academy Award nominations are dripping in slowly. We'll give you those in just a few minutes. We'll update you. I did see Emily Blunt was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Oppenheimer. I have long said she should have been nominated for The Devil Wears Prada, a movie I will watch at any time.
Aww.
I like her.
I've seen that movie.
You put that movie on, that's one that there's a bunch, but that's on my list. If I'm flipping channels and The Devil Wears Prada is on, I will immediately just start watching that movie.
Funny.
It is great.
Yeah, the antagonist, the lead role, it wasn't Glenn Close? No.
Meryl Streep.
No, Meryl
That's
Streep.
right. Never mind.
Fantastic.
I had a Glenn Close story, but a recent one from like a week ago. But
You have a Glenn Close story?
Yeah, I bumped into her.
Lay it on me.
Montana when we were on break. Yeah, she lives in Bozeman. I didn't even know that. But she was doing a friend of mine is an actor there in Bozeman, and they're doing a little production called Peter and the Wolf. We're all familiar with that for the kiddos.
Yeah.
And invited me over for a reading of it. Didn't tell me that the person that's narrating the entire thing is Glenn Close. She looks fantastic.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, wouldn't leave me alone. Glenn.
Come on, Glenn.
I mean, I will not be ignored, I think is what she yelled
That's
at.
exactly what she said. The second time my former rock and roll combo appeared on Saturday Night Live, she was the host. It was the Christmas of '92 show, December of '92. And if you ever go back into the archives and watch it, you will remember it forever as the unfunniest episode in that show's history.
Oh no,
not one. I mean, I just remember sitting there going, "Can we not?" I mean, this is no one will. This will never be replayed ever. It was. They were phoning that in like no one's business. I saw her in the hallway and walked right by her, and it was still. This is 5 years after Fatal Attraction, and I was still very much like, oh my God, there she is, and knowing full well she's an actress. That's not who she is in real life, and it still sent a shiver right up my spine.
She give you a nod?
She was very nodding. I was just walking by. There was nothing whatsoever, and that's kind of how I wanted it. If she had jumped in at some point, she may have looked at me and said, oh, never mind. I was going for the worst segue ever. It's time to play a game. Let's play a game. Let's give away some tickets. We've got tickets to see Kenny Wayne Shepherd Saturday, April 13th at the Mystic Showroom. We've got runner-up tickets for the Australian Bee Gees with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band. Holy smokes. Wow. We're going to get a couple callers on here to play a game. Tony, what's the story for today's competition?
Well, I was thinking, how about this?
You keep talking. You simply talk the talk.
The KQ Morning Show presents...
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
You know what happened today on this day? Back in 2005, Johnny Carson passed away. Arguably the best talk show host in the format's history.
2005? That long ago. Wow.
So I thought today, let's play What Are You Talking About, where you'll take your best guesses regarding talk shows and talk show hosts. Let's play What Say Ye?
I like it. I'm up for anything right now, especially something that Tony Lee invented in his twisted little brain. Candace, who is contestant number one?
There it is.
You literally just hung up. Maybe she just didn't like the game.
Wow.
It was Glenn Close.
So we'll start with Steve from Lindstrom.
Okay, Steve, good morning, sir. 1 second. We're going to need another caller. Is that what you're telling me, Candace?
Yes.
Okay, 651-989-ROCK. We need a new caller number 2, so hop on there. Steve, good morning, sir. How's your day so far?
Pretty good.
Are you ready to play? What are you talking about? I'll take that as a yes. Tony, let her rip, baby.
My good man, your first question. This Hawaiian singing star had a talk show briefly in the 1970s. Was it A, Troy Polamalu, B, Puka Nakua, or C, Don Ho?
I'm just going to go with C because that's the only one I know.
Yeah.
Troy Polamalu?
No.
It is Mr. Don Ho, Tiny Bubbles. Tiny Bubbles.
Man, that's right. Tiny Bubble. He got some life out of Tiny Bubbles. My gosh.
Could have gone with Cam Fong as Chin Ho or Zulu as Kono.
Good job, Steve. You're
Hawaii
1 for
Five-0.
1.
Number 2, late night show from the late 80s into the early 90s that embraced hip-hop culture and featured the fist pump from audience members known as the Dog Pound. Was it A, the Arsenio Hall Show, B, the Jeff Foxworthy Clubhouse, or C, the Wayans Brothers After Hours?
I'm going to go with A.
Arsenio, baby.
Good way to go.
Played that show as well. Made a fool of myself when I walked into the green room and discovered Terry Garr sitting there.
What happened?
Yeah.
I
Get all mushy?
I got very mushy and kind of embarrassed myself.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, hey, Terry, I'm in love with you.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing. Got a little gaga for Glenn Close. You shake her hand and go, oh, very nice to meet you. That was the whole interaction.
Yeah.
But Terry Garr, yeah. I mean, that's she played to our, our age. I mean, she was our actress. Kind of came up as we were growing up, and
Why, thank you, Doctor. Young Frankenstein. That's all it took for
He
me.
would have an enormous Schwanzstücke.
All right, Steve, you're 2 for 2, brother. Hang in there. Well done so far.
Steve, here's number 3 out of 4. Sunday morning public affairs show analyzing and discussing the week's top stories regarding newsmakers, business, and politics. Was it A, Meet the Press, B, Press the Meat, or C, Dennis the Menace?
Meet the Press.
Correct.
Wow.
call me when Press the Meat is on.
Yeah, no kidding.
Speaking of Terry Garr. Come on.
Oh, my. Number 4, your last one, comedy and variety show featuring characters and players such as Max Weinberg, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, Preparation H. Raymond, and the Masturbating Bear. Is it A, Geraldo, B, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, or C, Thick of the Night with Alan Thicke?
I'm going to go with B.
Yeah.
It is Conan, yes.
Anyone ever see
Bingo.
Thick of the Night, one episode?
No.
Or were you
No.
were on that one, Steve?
No, just completely evaded, missed the whole thing. Was aware of it peripherally at best.
Yeah.
Hey, not to butter you guys up, but I did catch Candace's Sabbath show.
Woo.
Yeah.
And,
hey, thanks,
and
Steve.
Wow. What
Yeah.
a band, and she was great.
Oh, thanks, Steve. That's so sweet. I might consider that in your final.
And I got the opportunity to catch Golden Smock too.
Oh, you're a lucky duck. Good.
Who is better?
Well,
Uh-oh.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
In the midst of buttering up.
Well, hold on. One of us only had one gig to prove their metal. I was only a one-off. One of us. Oh, no, that's great, Steve. Thanks. I appreciate you checking out live music. Yeah, I saw Candace's
You guys-
band,
both
and they
you
were
guys
awesome.
Both you guys totally crushed my hopes of ever being a rock star. So
It could happen.
Listen, that's
compete
just
with that.
one of the many services
But
we
there's
like to
still hope
provide.
for being a DJ.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you went 4 for 4, brother. So right now, you're the one with the spotlight on you. You got you're in the pole position right now. So sit tight. We're going to see how contestant number 2 does. And thank you for the kind words, Candace. Who is caller number 2? Hit
reaching
the
for
buttons.
Sticky keys, sticky keys.
How'd they
Hello,
get
Sticky.
Who we got?
Nick from Stillwater.
Nick, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you ready to play? What are you talking about for some Kenny Wayne Shepherd tickets?
Yeah, let's try it.
Let's give it a rip, brother.
Let's do it, Nick. Number 1, a daytime talk show hosted by women offering their takes on the day's news and hot topics. Is it A, The Chew, B, The View, C, Mayhem in the AM?
Be the View.
Correct.
Very good. I had a date with Joy Behar once. No, I'm kidding. That's not true. Sorry.
Speaking of high maintenance. No, I don't know her.
I got nothing for The View. Sorry, that's it. Seen it, haven't been on it.
All right. Number 2, late night comedy and variety talk show featuring regulars such as Larry Bud Melman, Paul Schaefer, and the guy under the seats. A, The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. B, The Late Night Ride with Regis Philbin. Or C, Late Night with David Letterman.
David Letterman.
Yes, sir.
Attaboy, Nick. 2 for 2, brother.
Number 3, talk show focusing on public affairs and the rigorous exchange of intellectual discourse, hosted by the pompous presence of William F. Buckley Jr. Is it A, Firing Line, B, Fishing Line, or C, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Whose line is it anyway? I'm going to guess.
Oh, for cripe's sake, nope.
Dang.
Sorry, Firing Line was the Firing Line. Oh, well. I'd like to see him do some improv, though.
That would be fantastic.
Buckley could pull it off.
Yes, I'm on a unicycle playing a clown reading a fine novel. And your last one, just for fun. Late night comedy host known for her brash and outrageous interviews on the E! Network about pop culture and celebrity gossip with her sidekick Chewy. Is it A, Kelly Clarkson, B, Chelsea Handler, or C, Coco Chanel?
Let's go with Kelly Clarkson. I don't know.
Oops. Nope, that would be Chelsea Handler. Chelsea lately.
Nick, brother, you went 2 for 4. We're not going to let you walk out of here empty-handed.
Right.
Your prize as the runner-up today, tickets to the Australian Bee Gees with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band. That's February 3rd, a couple of Saturdays away at the Medina. Prize provided by the Medina Entertainment Center. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Steve, 4 for 4, brother. You've got tickets to see the Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band at the Mystic Showroom Saturday, April 13th. Congratulations, sir.
Woo! Thanks.
You got it, man. Well
Nick,
played, Steve.
Yeah, I think Nick could hold his chin up. He clearly watches less trashy TV than we do.
Sure.
But, as long as he listens to our trashy radio station.
If I'm not mistaken, speaking of Whose Line Is It Anyway, they're coming here in May, I think. May or June. They're on tour. They're going to hit the Twin Cities.
2 shows,
No
actually.
way. No way. Are you serious?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, Greg Proops, good buddy of mine. He'll come in.
Is he really? I love him.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
he's great.
I was
that show so
obsessed with that show. I was really obsessed with it because of Drew Carey, but I loved Ryan and all them too. I used to have Whose Line Is It Anyway parties.
Oh, my
House,
Lord.
like a total loser.
Please
What
tell
does
me
that
you had
mean?
cocaine.
What does that mean?
I had all my friends over, and then we put like all these different like fun games in a hat, and then we would take turns being Drew and go up and just be silly goosies.
Did you used to have to wear a helmet?
I was obsessed with that show.
And by
I forced
friends-
all my friends to play it.
By friends, do you mean cardboard cutouts of Wayne Brady?
Hey, these aren't easy to come by,
I used to play
They're money.
Alias too when I was that age, and I'd just run around my basement doing kicks and
Yeah.
stuff.
A lot of stockings and wigs.
Wait till our blank slate pajama party she has planned for us all.
Oh, my.
Well, hey, the Oscar nominations are finally, and I'm kind of curious. I poo-poo the Oscars every year, and then I peek. We're going to peek for you. We'll get into that. We certainly have plenty of stories this morning about body parts. Don't get excited about that. I did. It's right.
It's not what
The
you
other
want.
way. No,
Not what you
it's
want it to
not.
be.
Yeah, hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talkin' text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. The Academy Awards have just announced their nominations for this year's Oscars. Best Picture, no surprise at all. I still can't believe there's 10 movies every year now in the Best Picture category. I mean, it makes sense, but it was 5 for so long. No surprise to see Oppenheimer or Barbie on that list. Those were the 2 movies everybody obsessed about all year long. The entire list. American Fiction, saw it, loved it. Literally one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years. I would recommend you go see American Fiction.
Is
Anatomy.
that on streaming yet?
I don't believe it is. No.
All right.
Anatomy of a Fall. Haven't seen it. Read all about it. Apparently, a fantastic movie. Scandinavian, I believe. Maybe Icelandic. I don't know. It's from somewhere. You know where it's from? It's from over there. But it's a foreign film, and it was nominated for Best Picture. Barbie, enough said. The Holdovers, haven't seen it, but boy, people who have love it. Anybody seen any of these?
I know. I'm just looking at a headline in Newsweek. Barbie Oscars nomination snubs spark uproar. No, the only one I fell asleep during Oppenheimer. I got it like an hour or 5 into it. I think I was like 8 hours into it when I dozed off.
I dug it. My son said when you see it the second time, it's far more impactful. No, seriously. He saw it twice in the theater. And
I'll
he
take
said,
his word for it.
Killers of the Flower Moon, haven't seen it. Plan to at some point. Maestro, haven't seen it. Don't imagine I will.
Yeah, I want. I don't know. Okay, so I love Bradley Cooper.
What's not to love?
Well, him and I go way back.
Yes.
He got to start on Alias.
Yes.
Like, I love the man. But I was watching the preview and I was just like, I don't think I can do this. Like,
Really?
I don't think I can actually watch this movie. It seems so intense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to look at Bradley Cooper and see that. I want to see hot Bradley Cooper,
Okay, well, I'm sure he appreciates your support. Past lives. Watched it on a plane. Cried like a baby. I cry on flights. Yeah, it's beautiful. Gorgeous movie. Really, really
flight
lovely.
You were barfing?
That was not the flight where I threw up. No, that's two separate flights. Although I have at times wanted to do both simultaneously, but never at 30,000 feet. Poor Things, Emma Stone. She's like a robot or something. I don't know. I've heard about it. Haven't seen it. The Zone of Interest. I heard about The Zone of Interest right now as I said those words. I've never even heard of it. Anyone know what that is?
No.
Okay,
I'm
there's
not
your 10
currently
best
in it.
films.
Well, good luck to them all.
Do they still do that thing where they come out and do all the show tunes, 10 of them, and they dance? And, that. Remember how they used to isolate all 5 pictures? And maybe that was just a Billy Crystal thing. That would be the last time I watched the Oscars. Billy Crystal. hosted.
Yeah, I don't think they give all 10 quite as much time as they used to give 5.
All right.
So let's see. There's 10 movies here. American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer. I've seen 4 of them. And of those 4, American Fiction was my favorite. I loved Past Lives, but I'm surprised it's nominated for Best Picture. But that's just me. I think it's on Apple. I think it's actually that one you can go find. Best Actress in a Lead Role, I mean, whatever. Annette Bening is in Nyad. Who knew? Not me. A story about Diana Nyad, the long-distance swimmer, apparently. Flowers of the Moon, Fall, Maestro, whatever. Supporting actor De Niro, Downey Jr., Gosling, it's all the same people. It's all the same names. You see them all the time. But The Zone of Interest. It's from the UK. This is weird. I mean, never even seen it. Never even seen the name. I have no idea what's happening with this. Apparently, it's loosely based on a novel by Martin Amis. It's okay. It's about a Nazi commandant who tries to build. I have read about this. I'm not interested. The Zone of Interest does not pique my interest.
Gosling is Jared Goff. You notice that? Jared Goff looks just like Ryan Gosling.
I had not noticed that, and now that you say it,
Take a peek.
There's a real resemblance there for
Have
sure.
we seen them in the same place at the same time?
No.
It took me a while to Gosling and Ryan Reynolds and Bradley Cooper, all these guys around that same age. I never knew the difference. I just thought they were all like, it's all those guys that are kind of the same. And I know who they are now, but for a while there, I confused all of them. And speaking of football players, Tyler Bass, that's the name of the field goal kicker for the Buffalo Bills who missed that kick on Sunday that would have tied the game. That kick that started off true and then just veered right with such alacrity.
It did.
Just that football could not wait to get outside those goalposts. It was like, no, sir. Exit stage right. A lot of Bills fans, you probably imagine, are just ripping him to shreds. Au contraire, fans of the Buffalo Bills, the Bills Mafia has made a coordinated effort to get a bunch of money raised for a charity that he supports, to show support for him. He, which is pretty fantastic.
Good sports.
He deactivated his social media account Sunday night because he just didn't want to have to face the blowback. Yeah. As it turns out, he has supported something called the 10 Lives Club, a cat adoption charity in Buffalo. And the Bills Mafia has kicked up over $25,000 since Sunday, all in increments. They asked for $22 donations because that's his jersey number. $25,000. That's not. That's. I mean, okay, whatever. Cat adoption. I know where you're going with that, Zep. But that's a nice gesture from a fan base who has yet again had their guts ripped out by a missed field goal.
Yeah, it is a nice gesture. I like the good sportsmanship. I'd like to see more of that these days. But then you said the cat thing, and it's a kicker, and it's so Buffalo. Let's just push them up into Canada and be done with it.
I thought you were going to tell a story about kicking cats, and I'm relieved that's not the case.
Oh, no.
I feel like you're holding something back.
I have a cat lover to answer to.
I have when I was a kid, me and another kid in the neighborhood, a little local tough, we were at a friend's house, and there was a cat there, and I just remember this kid very clearly saying to me, hey, let's beat up that cat. There was like a cat in his yard.
Heck?
And it was like two 6-year-old boys, 7-year-old boys, and what that meant was, let's just go see if we can catch the cat. He wasn't really going to try to beat the cat up. And so I was like, yeah, let's corner it. Let's see what happens. And you know who got beat up? Not the cat.
Right.
That was a real hearty lesson for young Steve Gorman. Don't mess with a cornered cat.
Oh, no.
It didn't get me, but I watched a kid named Jimmy Gunning just get ripped to shreds in Davey Hull's backyard. Ooh, baby. That cat was, and it was white. It was solid white. And I just thought, how can a white cat, it just seemed like a little cream puff. Mm-hmm. If it had been a tabby, like a Morris orange cat, I would have gotten it. I could have seen it. But it was just so white and fluffy and cottony looking. And I was like, that thing is evil.
Claws.
Incarnate. Yeah. Big mistake. Speaking of evil incarnate, what's going on with all the body parts out there? Literally in the last week we ignored them for a while, but now we have to mention this. In a recently sold home in Colorado, in Mesa County, somebody bought a house in the town Grand Junction. Bought a house, moved in, found a human head and a human hand. First things first, do they not have inspections in Colorado when you buy a house? Do you not send someone in there with a pencil and a legal pad to note that everything is in ship shape?
Yeah. I think Grand Junction is just a little too close to Nevada.
Must be.
Maybe the mob has drifted into Grand Junction. I don't know.
They're trying to figure out who this is, but of all the things to find, I mean, just imagine you buy a new place, you're moving in, you're like, man, we got this home. I told the story of my wife and I moved into our new house, and in the first week, as we were still unpacking, we discovered a hive of wasps up in the ceiling. That's the kind of stuff you expect to find. Sure. The house has been vacant for 3 months and some bees moved in. That makes sense. Or I sold a house once, and the people that bought it were like, we found a little bit of mold in one of the bathrooms. And I'm like, yeah, get some Windex, whatever. I don't care. And they wanted to make a big stink of it. Like, well, we've got a baby, and we don't want them to breathe the mold. I'm like, what? My babies are fine. It's a black dot under the sink. Just deal with it. Yeah, right. But the human head and human hand, whew.
Yeah, that's a tough. Well, I mean, it's in Minneapolis. What was it, a few weeks ago? We were on break or whatever. They found a human body in a garbage can in a house for sale in Minneapolis. People leaving bodies around, I guess.
Wow, crazy.
The realtor found it. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, people are leaving body parts around. Well, there's the story, and I think we covered this about 6 months ago. This Harvard, everybody's heard of the Harvard Medical School body parts thing.
Oh, the morgue. Yeah.
Yeah, the morgue. That's finally gone to trial. I have about 30 seconds here. Listen, I mean, just people, body parts. What's going on?
Cedric Lodge remained silent, leaving federal court Wednesday. The former morgue manager at Harvard Medical School is accused of stealing body parts from the morgue and selling them across state lines.
Do you have any remorse?
The criminal complaint names Katrina McLean, the owner of a shop called Cat's Creepy Creations. In October of 2020, she allegedly agreed to purchase 2 dissected faces for $600. She's also accused of shipping human skin to a man named Jeremy Pauley in Pennsylvania to have the skin tanned to create leather. One payment of $1,000 was sent with a memo that read head number 7. Another $200 payment was sent with a memo that reads brains.
Oh, brains. Yeah, lucky head number 7.
Put the head back in the basket. You watch Silence of the Lambs, you think, oh, come on. And then you hear this, and you're like, really, there's more than like a handful of people out there like this.
Or the jar that says Abby Normal.
That's what I was, that was the other reference, of course. Abby someone. Yeah.
Absolutely normal. And the Harvard guy, I get it. He's just in it for the money, right? He's selling off the body part. But someone bought 2 human faces.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cats.
Happy birthday.
The store is Cat's Creepy Creations.
I nailed it.
Taking it all the way to the bank with that one.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
That is mind-boggling to me.
No.
And think about this, Cat. It's short for Katrina, and it's Cat with a K, of course. You really? And how great is this? She's in Salem, Massachusetts. That's like you don't have to commit that hard to the bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna test your creepy creation to make sure it's actual human skin. It could be paper mache, for crying out loud. Come up with just spend some time in the lab and come up with something. You don't have to actually buy human skin. That's the old joke about the guy who, the morgue guy who collects all the foreskins and asks someone to make a wallet from it. And the guy goes, yeah, here's your wallet made of foreskins. If you rub it real hard, it turns into a suitcase. But these are real life people that aren't in a bad Catskills joke. This is actually something someone's doing. How do you think you're going to get away with this? What happens to people where you're like, I've heard from a guy online, he said he'll sell me a couple faces for $1,000. Sounds good. Do it. Go ahead and click that. Get your email in there.
Right, online. No one's monitoring that. No one's paying attention to that. Nobody will find out about that. Yeah, this has to be done completely offline. There's the dark web, right? I still don't know how the hell you get on the dark web.
I assume, and maybe this is me thinking I'm way too much the center of other people's focus, but I assume everything I'm doing, someone's monitoring. If I'm going to send an email or a text, and I don't mean our network or the station. I mean in life, just anything. If I'm going to put something on social media, if I'm doing anything online, if I'm even out in public, like if I'm at a Twins game, I assume somebody's got a camera that can zoom in on me when they need to.
I mean, I have to admit, I have been keeping some pretty close tabs on you. Not to freak you out or anything, but I know where you are usually at all times.
I was thinking more NSA than Candace, but okay, sure.
Candace Cam.
Yeah, I just assume if I've made any enemies, they can figure out how to hack in and figure out what I'm doing. Just try to keep it. The idea of buying human body parts online, that is like, no, you go to someone's basement. They have a well in the basement. There's a white dog involved. That I get. I don't understand clicking. I don't the return button and expecting no problems to surface from this.
Right. As I looked at the people, with the exclusion of, again, the Harvard dude that was just in it for the money, all the other people involved in that television report look exactly like you're picturing in your mind. Just something went wrong.
Sure.
They tried, first of all, modifying their own bodies a lot. That didn't make them happy. That didn't get them where they needed to be. So they just thought they'd buy some body parts and, I don't know, start again, build a new, better them. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
That is a weird thing. I'm trying to think if I ever, I know for sure I've never come across a body part. That's not where I was going. But what would I do if I did?
Yeah.
Do you just keep walking and go, well, no one else seems to care? I mean, you're out on a hike and you're like, is that a foot? I don't know. I might literally just keep moving. Don't know if I want to stop and take time to figure that one out.
Yeah, then you got to get involved, right?
Well, yeah. Then you got
to police reports and call, and
you're telling a story 3 times to make sure there's no holes, and then you're a written statement,
right?
And then if you give any sort of offhand jokey answer, then the cops suddenly well, you think this is funny? Like, no, I don't think it's funny. Yeah, I've seen enough procedurals. I don't need to get involved.
All right, yeah, I just don't want to get involved. Well, let's take it to a more innocent time. Body parts, kind of creeping me out a little bit. Let's go to baby names. These are the baby names that are going extinct.
Uh-oh.
Right? Are our names on there? Is Brian going extinct? I don't know. Baby names that are on the way out showed up in one of the local news sources this morning. We'll get into that, among other things, at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, January the 23rd, 2024. That was U2. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That was the second song I ever heard as a father. Our son was born in the summer of 2000, and right after the delivery, as we're literally and figuratively cleaning things up and settling into a new life, the doctor put on music. Like, okay, we got him. He's a baby boy. Everybody looks healthy. And then suddenly, and the guy put on side one of the Joshua Tree, which I'd heard that album a million times and been like, yeah, whatever. And then, of course, it sounded like angels from heaven themselves singing it. And that if I listen to that album start to finish, it can really, really, really get all the emotions pumping. And it was during the time, probably during that second song or the third at the latest, when a nurse came over and said, "And what are you going to name the boy?" And I said, his name is Connell James. And she said, "How do you spell that?" And I explained it and told her. And she said, "What's that name? I like that." I said, "It's an Irish name because I'm 60% Irish." Who knew? I thought I was all Irish. But, no, I had the whole thing with her. And the whole time as I'm sitting in a chair and I'm holding this baby and he's looking at me and given some information, and it was just a crazy, and for the record, the delivery was one of those really, really scary for a few minutes there type of delivery. So Rosemary needed some extra attention because things got pretty dicey. All ended well, but it was a really emotional moment just getting there and exhausting and all those things for her beyond anything I could imagine. But it was just a really heady time. But I still remember so specifically spelling that name. Connell, and middle name James, and given the whole information. And at no point did it ever occur to me, I didn't have a thought of, I wonder if there'll ever be another Connell. I knew it was a pretty unique name. That's not necessarily why I chose it, but I wasn't thinking to myself, I hope there's not a whole bunch of Connells in school, because at the time when we were thinking about, we didn't know if it was going to be a boy or girl. We didn't find out ahead of time. One of our girl names that we were considering, and this is the summer of 2000, was Olivia.
Okay.
Both my kids went to school with multiple Olivias, like 6 or 7 in their class. Yeah. So many Olivias from the late 90s, early 2000s. That name continues to dominate. A lot of Olivias out there is my point. And there's a new list of baby names that are going the way of the dodo. We always give you these are the most common baby names for the year in Minnesota. This is the exact opposite, based on a bunch of, looking at the stats, if you will, over the last few years. Let me see how the company analyzed all this data on January 1 to see which names have the steepest year-to-year declines. The top 500 names for each gender over the last 2 years, and then they look over the last 20, and they come up with a list of these names are on the way out. People are no longer going there. This was a surprising one. On the girls' side, the number one name going the way of the dodo, Brooke. Brooke.
It was so hot there for a while. I know a Brooke from a couple of different generations. I think it was just so hot for so long.
I guess so. I know several Brooks, but I don't know any kids named Brooke. I can't think of a Brooke that's younger than 40 that I know.
Right.
Yeah. Julius on the boys' side. Julius is just about gone. Falling like a stone. I've known one Julius in my life that was like my age. I think of two. I think Dr. J, and then I think Julius Jennings, and then that's it. I only know, or Orange Julius, I suppose. I knew him as well.
That's immediately where my mind went to every food court I've ever been in. Orange Julius, right over there. They're still cooking. Yeah, well, we did the most popular baby names of last year not long ago, and I think we prefaced it by saying, here's what you don't want to name your kid, because we went with, and by we, I mean I was told we were going with, I get to choose the middle name, the throwaway.
Okay.
But it was Taylor, and Taylor was, I think Garth Brooks had just named his kid Taylor. There was another famous person that just named their kid Taylor, and then you add in, it's not a gender-specific name.
Right.
And I think in Taylor's graduating class of over 600 people from Prior Lake High, I think half the class was named Taylor. I will say this, when we went to the pediatrician for the very first time, because I was growling a little bit. I went, Taylor, I think that's just going to be, all the kids are named Taylor. She said, you're being ridiculous. We're in the pediatrics room, and there are, everyone was invited that day. There's like 10 groups of parents all in there with their babies. Just, I'm cute, your mind's cute. And the nurse comes out, looks at her clipboard and says, Taylor, and 5 couples stand up at the same time. I just looked at the face. I'm like, aha.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's at least she does, immediately there's going to be some connection. Like, I don't feel so all alone when there's 4 more of me
she hates
in this
it now,
room.
But she hates it now, but there's only one Taylor Zepp.
Well, that's very true. The last names turn first names across the board are on the way out. On the boys list, these have been names that have seen a rise, and now they're going away. Baylor, Bradley, Brady, Clayton, Hendricks, Preston. Yeah, with good reason, because when you meet someone who says, "Hi, my name's Hendricks," you just want to slap them. I mean, it's just, come on. Yeah, who names their first name
Hendricks?
Cute. Yeah, see,
baby Hendricks.
For a cat.
Yeah, maybe.
Or your next dog.
For girls, Mackenzie, Reagan spelled R-A-E, not Ronnie, R-E-A. Reagan and Sawyer, those are falling out of favor. Which is good. I mean, you don't need Sawyer as a girl's first name, Sawyer. I don't know if I like that one or not. In fact, I do know. What am I talking about? I don't like it. If your name is Sawyer, I'm sure you're lovely, and I apologize. But that's
Reagan,
just not my
don't you think of The Exorcist?
Of course I think of The Exorcist. Nora is on the way out. Nora.
I always liked that name.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's a good old school name. Or as the guy from Sleeping with the Enemy would say, Nora! Angela falling out of favor.
My sister. Well, that one also very high. My sister born in the early 1970s.
Yeah.
Born in the early 1970s. And there was a lot of Angelas. I know a lot of Angelas.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
cyclical, right?
My kids don't have kids yet, but I have a lot of nephews and nieces who are having babies these days, and I'm not recognizing. There's none of these names. Diana is on the way out. I'm trying to think. When's the last time I met a young Diana or Diana?
Right.
Been a long time. Amanda. See you later, Amanda. Also on the outs.
Boston tune, power ballad.
Yeah, right. That's a very good point. Amanda, I had a thought and it's already escaped me about that. But yeah, I haven't seen, these are just, I'm thinking about all the names of the kids I meet, and no Amandas, no Dianas, no Noras. That happens.
Johnny is near the top of the list I see for guys' names that are down. That one's been so classic for so long, as in centuries.
Wait, Johnny? That means not John or Jonathan, but actually the name is Johnny, I would imagine.
I see. All right. So they're not going with Jonathan. Yeah, they're just going with Johnny. All right. Yeah, all right.
Wow. Also fading off is Maximus, which, I mean, literally, if you want your kid to just get picked on every day of his life, name him Maximus.
Unless he can handle it.
Man, you're not kidding. You're definitely throwing a gauntlet in that kid's face.
Dickus.
Have you guys ever had a baby name that was spoiled by someone else, either wanting that name or choosing that name, or some evil person with that name?
No. I do know this. My oldest brother, when my mom was pregnant for the first time, she was planning, if it's a boy, she was going to name him Steven. And then during her pregnancy, there was some blow up with a friend or a coworker. Somebody named Steven really annoyed my parents. And so then she was like, I'm off that name now. And then all the years later, when number 8 came along, she was ready to assign that name again. So thanks to somebody who I've never met and don't remember the story pissing my mom off, I am named Steven, because I wouldn't have been had my oldest brother been given that name.
Your oldest brother's name?
Robert.
You would have been Robert, probably.
Probably would have been Robert.
Bob, how are you this morning?
I met a Daisy the other day,
Cute.
which I thought was adorable.
That's a little kid, Daisy?
No, grown woman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Richfield 7, they love flowers for baby names.
Really?
We got a Lily and a Violet.
Oh, lovely.
I think there's another one.
I like, Daisy's a good one.
Yeah, isn't that cute?
I know one Daisy. She's there's a music attorney I know in Nashville, and his executive assistant who runs the whole office and everything. Her name's Daisy, and you meet her, and she's an adult woman, and I just expect to see like a Pippi Longstocking looking kid with lollipops, and it's like, you're a very formidable businesswoman. I apologize.
Right. I mean, she couldn't be angry, could she? Have you ever seen a Daisy just angry, just pissed off? You just. Daisy's
kicking ass.
Yeah.
I like Daisy. That's a good one. But Candace, are you familiar with someone who got warned off of a baby name because of a situation?
Well, I just found out that my baby name was the name of someone's ex-girlfriend, but apparently she was very nice. So I'm still going to push for it, but it is kind of weirding me out. But I can't. I want the name that, It's my baby name.
Tell us you're pregnant, Candace.
No.
Oh, my God. I'm tweeting it right now.
All sorts of unexpected
No, but I used to have
avenues.
this doll, like this baby doll, when I was little, and I would name her. I named her this specific. I'm not saying it because you guys will ruin it.
Don't say it.
There's nothing wrong with Beatrice.
I think it's weird that you spell it with a Y instead of an I, Tris, because that people say trice. But anyway, go for it. Whatever you like. Our daughter's name is Marley, and when she was born, a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, that's the name we're going to use." And I was like, "You having a baby?" He goes, "No, but someday."
No.
And I was like, "Well," by the way, he lives in England. I'm like, "You're going to be okay." And then years later, I mean, he named his son Marley. So there's a boy named Marley who's like 16 years younger than my daughter, and they've never met. So far, it's all okay. No, they haven't had to, have a standoff in the street. But she'd kick his ass. I mean, she's 21, he's like 6. So she'd just waste that kid.
What do you go with short for Marley? Just Marley, right? You don't.
You just say no,
Hey,
Marley.
Marley.
Although it's B. I call her B, which is short for Binky, which makes no sense at all.
The Binky.
Did you like Binkies when she was a baby?
She's my little Binky. She loved it, and then one day when she was in, I think, 2nd grade, she came home from school, and she literally sat down and looked at me, and I could tell she had something on her mind. And I said, "What's going on?" And she goes, I don't want you to call me Binky anymore." And I melted, and I said, "Really? Okay." And I said, she goes, "I just want you to call me Marley." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Thank you for telling me. Thank you." And the next day, I was talking to her. I said, "So anyway, Marley," and she looked at me and she started to cry. She goes, "You can still call me Binky."
Oh, honey.
And then Binky's been shortened to B, and I literally don't even think about it. But when I was like, "Hey B, what's the and of course people are like, "What do you call her?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a whole story. Don't worry."
My boys had to talk with me too. Hudson and August both have addressed that because I will still slip into Hudsy or Augsy, and they're like, Dad, don't do that anymore.
That's
it's hard to
you
break.
Get to the I hate you phase.
Man,
around the corner.
My favorite thing about my name is I'll introduce myself to especially older people, like at the gym or something. I'll say my name is Candace, and then they'll just call me Candy. They're like, "Okay, Candy."
Right away.
Just right away.
I do that just to be stupid, but I know that because I know people actually do that. I mean, I'll occasionally look at you and say Candy, and you don't even flinch. And
when I was little, if I liked you, I would say my name is Candace, but you can call me Candy.
Oh,
wow!
My mom refers to you as that all the time.
It's
She
like
always
an
asks,
older thing.
"How's that candy?" Cookie always says, "How's that candy?"
The Cookie and Candy Show. Boy.
I don't know, something about
On the
older
silver
people.
stage, Cookie and Candy, your dream duo.
The Black Sabbath. Sweet Leaf comes on.
No sweeter leaf than Candy on the silver stage. Wow. We've all spent way too much time in strip clubs to just go that far into that. Oh gosh, there was something else right there, and it's just gone, just like that. Boom! I heard that beat. My brain just goes blank.
Man.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Tuesday, January 23rd. Not all heroes wear capes. You hear people say that often, and it's really very true. There's an Indiana man named Justin Carpenter. He's 25 years old, and this is the kind of hero maybe we don't deserve, maybe we don't want, but the kind of hero you need sometimes. Here's the story. Midnight, dude shows up at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and he is hungry. He walks in, he goes, "Hey, I need some fried pickles, man. You got to hook me up." And he is told, "Actually, sir, we just closed and the kitchen's already shut down." He goes, "Come on, please. I need some of those fried pickles, man. I need them." And they say, "Sir, I wish we could help you." He goes, "I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. How about this? You fire up that fryer. You drop some of those fried pickles in there, and you give them what I'm looking for, and I'll give you whatever drugs you want. I got marijuana, I got cocaine, I got ecstasy, I got vape cartridges."
Oh.
Everybody he's speaking to, as it turns out, was a minor, just incidentally, and he offers them all, "Look, I got every drug as much as you want. By God, just give me some of them fried pickles." At some point, one of the kids there was feeling a little uncomfortable, and they thought maybe they should call the police. They happened also to notice the man offering them drugs for fried pickles was wearing an ankle monitor.
What?
Just stoned to the gills, this guy, wearing an ankle monitor because of a, wait for it, prior drug conviction, as it turns out. He leaves the restaurant before the cops appear. But as he's on his way out, he grabs some of the aforementioned drugs. He literally had them on him. He tossed them to the manager and said, all right, just give those to the kids on the way out. He's literally the Willy Wonka of illicit drugs. Just give these to the kids. The cops showed up. They get the whole story. He's, let's see. He's a couple blocks away at a gas station when they apprehend him.
Yeah.
He's Johnny Appleseed.
Johnny Apple Dope. I mean, just...
Drugs, planting drugs here and there. Yeah, I thought with those ankle monitors, pardon my ignorance on this topic, but I thought, once you broke that, whatever they give you, that perimeter around your home, that, boom, the cops were called, and then it's like an Apple AirTag. They zero right in on you, but...
Well, it could be the kind of thing where they just always want to know where he is, but they don't limit him to staying home. I guess there could be different uses for the ankle monitor. I, like you, assumed it was just meant house arrest.
Yeah. Well, this is America, damn it, and you don't barter drugs for. What was it?
Fried pickles.
Fried pickles.
Fried pickles at the B-dubs.
And then you go down and pay in cash.
I love the idea, though, of him, trying to make this happen. Come on, guys, I got everything. Coke, ecstasy, what do you need? And they keep saying nothing. And then he hears them calling the police, and he's like, well, just take the drugs anyway. Here, give these to the kids. I mean, it's a heart of gold, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Man. That's
By
tough.
the way, I was just, as you were saying that, I did a little clicking here in the story from the Smoking Gun and went to his previous arrest. You know what they got him for? Drugs. Like you said, it was a drug charge because he was going down the interstate 37 miles an hour. When the officer pulled him over. Yeah.
Yeah, you always know there's anytime you hear of someone being pulled over far below the speed limit, you know exactly what's happening right there. I've never been at risk for that because I drove stoned once, and it was the worst 90 minutes that actually took 90 seconds I've ever experienced. My brain does not function on the weed. And the one time I got behind the wheel, I pulled up to a red light and I braked and came to a stop like 7 straight times. It just kept happening over and over and over. You know, on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when the guy's charging the camera with his sword and the guards are watching and they keep showing the exact same clip over and over and he never gets any closer. And then finally he's right upon them. It's just a weird edit. That's what it felt like driving stoned. I was like, I think I already stopped at this red light. No, I'm still approaching the red light. I think I already stopped at this red light. No, I already approached the red light. It was awful.
Yeah, all the things I like about getting stoned don't work behind the wheel for me as well.
No.
Yeah, I'm just way too... I'm distracted by nature. I need to kind of focus in when I'm... in fact, I'm doing this thing with my insurance company where I'm allowing them to track me on my phone. They put a tracking app on there, and they track everything that you do behind the wheel. If you handle your phone, hands-free talking, texting, harsh braking, anything you do. And if you get a really good score at the end of it, they drop your insurance premiums.
Right.
Mine were creeping up. A lot of traffic stops on my record. And so I'm just doing that to, be a better driver on the road. And pot would run. One time, many, more than 20 years ago, this is a bad story. Don't do this, kids. I took the motorcycle stoned. I was going up to Princeton. I was just shooting up to see a buddy in Princeton. Next thing I know, I'm in Mille Lacs on 169. I overshot it by 60 miles or something like that. I was like, oh, dude. I turned around, went back, and ended up at home. Completely forgot to stop in Princeton.
It happens.
No.
It happens.
Can't do it. Don't do it.
I just got a new, I just changed my car insurance policy as well. And new policy for the new year. And the guy he told me about that thing you're talking about. about. They can just monitor your driving.
Yeah.
He goes, if you drive like a bat out of hell and if you're speeding, it won't hurt your policy. Right. Like we're not gonna use it to GPS you all the time. But if you drive well, if you're accelerating and slowing down and at a normal clip, you get rewarded, like you just explained. And he said, do you want to take part in this? And I said, sure. Like, yeah, why not? And he said, well, hook it up. It goes through your Bluetooth. And in my mind, this is how stupid I am. I had this idea that was like, oh, they'll send me something and I'll leave it in the car, like a Nielsen monitor or something. I thought, there's going to be a little piece of equipment that they'll send in the mail or whatever. Yeah. And a couple days later, I get in, I turn the car on, and it pops up on the dash. It says, an insurance company wants to monitor. And it's just, I can literally hit yes or no on the dashboard. That's it. Yeah. But when I saw it, I was like, monitor my drive? What the hell? No. And I just hit no. And then about 10 minutes later, I went, oh, that's that thing the guy was talking about. And I just declined it. I mean, no harm done, but yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. We just had that conversation, and I looked at this like, here comes Big Brother. Yeah, oops. I totally forgot. These things happen. Speaking of heart of gold and just a little off. Okay, we all mentioned that we talked about the Packers game the other day. Game they actually should have won. The San Francisco Niners came back and beat the Packers. The Green Bay Packers. There's no like, hey, moral victory, young team. We played hard. They should have. They had that game in hand and they let it slip away. And I imagine it's going to just chap their ass all year that they lost that game. But here's a story from the game. A woman in Wisconsin was watching the game, as she does, a lifelong Packers fanatic, very, very disturbed. She texted at some point. There's a family text. They're all watching in different parts of the state. And a woman texted to her niece, I'm having a heart attack.
Oh.
Her niece thought, oh, my God, she's having a heart attack. And, of course, called 911 immediately. Yeah. Paramedics raced to this house in Madison, Wisconsin. No, she was just nervous watching her football team.
Over the game. Yeah.
Apparently.
Try to clarify. Put a laughy face or something weird on there, to...
Well, I want to see the rest of the text thread because something tells me, A, the niece was stoned. Okay, that's first and foremost. But right. I'm sure it's things like, oh, I could kill him, and I'm dead, and I'm going to jump off a bridge if this doesn't. There's probably all the things sports fans say. And then the niece decided, you know what, I'm a little wound up myself. I'm going to hit the bong once, and then she sees the text, and then boom, 911's involved, and then you got a problem.
Yeah, you got an issue.
These are stressful things. The longer you live, the more you ride with your teams, the ups and downs. Vikings fans know it very well. If you want to make it to be, I don't know, maybe 101 years old, there is somebody who can give you a little bit of advice. Her name is Valeria Ryan. She lives in St. Augustine, Florida, at a veterans retirement home. She was in the U.S. Navy. Going all the way back to WW2. She just turned 101 on Saturday, and she was asked, what's the secret to a long life? And here is Valeria with words of wisdom for all of us.
What's my secret to a long life? To drink all the booze you can drink.
Come on.
Just drink all the booze you can drink.
Oh, it's boozing time.
And I love people like, tongue in cheek. No, listen to her. Bottle in mouth, apparently.
Yeah, right, exactly. A little wet brain going. She's 101. And we thank her for her service. That's smoking life all the way to the butt. And she's got a couple of drags left, it sounds like, in her. Reminds me of a piece of audio we ran here in the last year. The old man with the secret to the happy marriage.
How long have you been married?
75 years, June 14th.
The key to 75 years is what?
Well, just the normal three things that you have to do, and that is take out the trash and put on the toilet seat, and yes, dear.
There you have it.
Exactly. Good man.
Also known as complete capitulation.
That's 75 years. At some point, I think you put up the good fight for maybe half of that, but, happy wife, happy life. Isn't that what they say?
Clean bathroom, happy wife.
Yes, dear.
The clean bathroom already. And you're
hey,
the one
I
that's
spend
always...
a lot of time in the bathroom.
All right.
So if I have to spend a lot of time in your bathroom, if you love me, you should make sure that it's nice and tidy.
Maybe get some what do you call them? What are the pills you take to settle to get some acidophilus maybe?
Imodium.
Maybe some sort of
Don't tell me how to live my life, Steve.
I'm not gonna. It's a helpful suggestion from a guy who's been there, but clearly not as often as you're in there.
Maybe I like my bathroom time. Okay?
Probiotics. That's the word I was looking for.
Probiotics, gut health. It's all about the gut health. Although the filthiest bathroom I've ever been in, I'm a slob, the filthiest one I've ever been in by far, something they called the Beehive down in Mankato. 10 young college women, my daughter Taylor being one of them, living in there. I go to pick her up. I'm like, hey, hon, I'm just going to jog down the hall here and use the bathroom, and then we can get going. I walked into, I'm not even going to describe it, a crime scene. It was the grossest bathroom I've ever been in.
You have a Scottish accent and you're quoting Train Spotting.
Yes, Train Spotting. Love that. I haven't watched that one in a few decades. Yeah, it was Train Spotting bad.
There's nothing good about that. Let's look back. On this day in 1985, O.J. Simpson was elected to Pro Football's Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. First time a Heisman Trophy winner was elected to the NFL, the Pro Football, I should say, Hall of Fame. These days, if you win a Heisman, it's all but guaranteed you're going to have a pretty good run in the NFL. That was not the case back in the day. He went in alongside Frank Gatsky, a lineman, Roger Staubach, Joe Namath. I mean, that's two of the biggest names ever.
Yeah.
And former Commissioner Pete Rozelle. At a luncheon, the 4 other inductees voted OJ most likely to murder people in the future. That's not true. I just think I just wish it had been. On this day in 1983, Bjorn Borg retired. He was 26 years old. In the world of tennis these days, 26 is just, you're not even at your peak. You're not anywhere near your prime. Bjorg at 26 had already won 11 Grand Slams, and he was just like, his quote was, "I don't have the motivation. I can't give 100%, and if I can't do that, it wouldn't be fair to myself to go on. Tennis has to be fun if you want to get to the top, and I don't feel that way anymore." That's another thing no tennis player born since has thought. Tennis has to be fun? What, are you kidding? It's supposed to be torture. But it would fun.
You play against McEnroe?
You cannot be serious!
Borg, 26 years old, waited 8 years to realize, I really do miss it. He came back. 8 years later, he played 12 matches. He went 0 for 12. And he wasn't playing the top-ranked players in the world. I mean, when you come back after 8 years, they don't put you on the court with the number one. But anyway, he's still around. Is he still around? I don't even know. Bjorn Borg hasn't passed on, has he?
I think he is. They came out with a documentary, and now I want to say a few years ago, which means probably 15, and he was alive for that.
Yeah, no, he's still with us. He's also... Gosh, still looks good. Just a good-looking Swede. A lot of way worse ways to go through life than retired at 26 with a handsome and a great Swedish accent.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.